morning, everybody. Welcome to Hobby Hotline, episode number ?70 perhaps. We are not exactly sure this morning, but want to welcome everybody to the show. As always, thanks for joining us. We have on the panel this morning, we have Jeff, Mr. Deafness, and we have Dr. Beckett on the bottom below us there. Jeff, how you doing this morning?
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, thank you. Dr. Beckett, Jim, how are you?
Happy to be here, Jeremy. Jeff, good to see you guys.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, great to have you guys here. So listen, I mean, we got a few viewers right now. Let's get the chat going, everybody. We want to know what you want to talk about. We want you to definitely call in, looking for some callers today. As always, we want to open this thing up and really develop it into the call-in show that we believe it is and can be. So until we have any callers, let's jump right in, guys. I mean, the Nationals right around the corner. Mm-hmm. I'm in Canada, so for me, it's I'm certainly looking forward to it. I'm going to be there this year. I got my second COVID shot coming up on Tuesday, so I'll have that buffer zone in between. Dr. Beckett, I know you're going to be there. I don't think you've ever missed one. How much are you looking forward to this one versus, say, the ones in the past, based on what we've seen over the last year?
Well, I've never missed one, except that I missed last year, but everybody missed last year. So I think there's going to be extra excitement this year, and I think I'm really looking forward to it. I noticed Brody has checked in. Brody, the official kid ambassador. I hope this is a great national for all ages, and I think it's going to be.
And I mean, I'm already kind of wondering, like, are we going to be able to? Is there going to be elbow room there? Do you think you think you're going to even be able to see the cards on the tables in the showcases compared to 17, 18, 19, or is it going to be an absolute zoo in there? What are your expectations for that?
I got jostled quite a bit on Saturday at Kyle's last Dallas show, so I expect as much or worse. If you're in the aisles and you're sauntering or grazing or sitting, if you're in a popular aisle, you're going to have to turn sideways.
So it was 2 years ago, right? When the last one in Chicago was, I was at that one. And they said there was 50,000 or so people that attended throughout the weekend or the 5-day run of it or whatnot. Are we thinking we're going to see 70,000, 100,000 people? Or are we thinking we're going to be sitting around that same type of head count as far as going in and out of those doors over that week or weekend? What do you think?
For 100. I'm open for 100. I think that's reasonable. Like I said, I had John Brogy on my show, and again, the concern I have is that there might be some Illinois or Chicago restriction that might come at the last minute, or fire marshal, and we're really hoping that doesn't happen. But there's got to be so much pent up demand, and the numbers, Jeff, are multiplied by 5. I mean, people I know are going to be there multiple days, and that's a multiple count, but it's still people bringing their wallets in each time,
right?
Or their digital wallets.
And Jeremy, you touched on, you started with the National as well. I believe John is actually going to be doing a podcast coming up here too, kind of a whole rundown for those who either haven't attended a National or, are looking for some type of information, kind of how it all works, best practices and whatnot. So you guys are definitely going to want to be on the lookout for that. I do not believe he's done that yet, but I believe that is coming up. Does anybody know when he's dropping that so we can let the viewers know?
I'm not exactly sure when. I've heard I believe he is as well. I know I've seen a couple of content pieces on tips for the National. I don't think there's any shortage of those. If you want to search on YouTube, you're going to find some of those. I know Dr. Beckett is joining me on Sports Cards Live on July the 24th, which is the last kind of show I'll be doing before the National, and I'm sure we're going to be hammering right into that and what to expect. Yeah. So lots of options for that out there, but John's got lots of experience there, so I'll be tuning into his as well. Yeah. As I usually do. guys, why don't we welcome everyone we have in the chat? I'll run through some of that. And you notice I did pop up, everybody, the login link or the call-in link. The one I had on a few minutes ago was the old one. I just updated it. That's why you saw me fumbling there. So feel free to call in. Want to say good morning to Brody. Good morning to you, young sir. Steve Foley from Florida. Good morning, Steve. Rex from the card shop at Moco, where good morning to you and everybody there. Logan Ward, a fellow Hobby Hotline host. Good morning, Logan. And Logan goes on to say that the National will be packed tighter than a can of sardines. Definitely, I think we're all somewhat expecting that at this point. Drew, good morning. Drew, call in. We'd love to have you join as always. Good morning to Card Killer. And thank you very much, Brody. Right back at you from all of us. I think Lard Killer or Card Killer, not sure. But good morning to everybody in the chat and the card shop at Moco. Card Killer, there you go. He corrected it there. So, yeah, I mean, it's all I can think about right now, guys, is the National. I'm so excited for the cards, for the people, for the social activity, to meet everybody in person for the first time after so long, really. We got Victor Roman Sr. in the house. Good morning, Victor. Victor's recently rebranded his YouTube channel to the Rookie Card Specialist from All Time Greats blog. Check out Victor's channel as well. So,
hey, Jeremy, yeah. I got a fabulous what if.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're at the National, and this is, again, I'm just pontificating of a magical situation that could occur. So we're all at the National. We're there. It's Sunday, and all of a sudden there's a massive outbreak of COVID.
Oh.
And what they do is they say, okay, you're going to have to shelter in place for the next 14 days inside the Donald Stevens Convention Center. No one can leave. No one can come in. We'll give you food. But for the next 2 weeks, you're going to have to stay sheltered in place at the show.
Sounds like heaven, Jim.
Again, nobody's going to get violently ill, but if there's an outbreak, what are they going to do? Even one, the contact tracing.
It's going to be a 2-week hobby party, I guess, is what it's going to be. Hopefully, we all brought enough money and maybe got an extra loan or something so we can make it through.
Money and deodorant. As long as we have that, we'll be fine.
You tell your wife, I'm forced to stay at the show for 2 weeks.
She would say, yeah, right. We're getting a divorce. You're lying to me. You're going off with your buddies somewhere else to some other show or something.
Yeah, that's an interesting what if. I mean, obviously there'd be all sorts of repercussions, but the first thing that came to mind to me, Jim, when you said is heaven. That'd be heaven. I mean, when I'm at card shows and I'm watching the clock during a card show, and as soon as the hours tick by, all I can think about is it's getting closer to ending. I get more and more kind of sad that it's coming to an end, whether it's 6 months till the next big one for the Expo in Toronto or a year to the National. Sunday rolls around, last day. Okay, one whole day left. 3 o'clock comes. I'm like, oh no, it's almost over. The show's almost over. It's so sad. I just love being at these things.
And kind of touching on that, Jeremy, for those that haven't been to a National, and these are some things that I'm sure John and them will cover as we go through a lot of this content leading up to the National. But there's a few things. One is it can be overwhelming. There's a lot there. Don't rush through. Really take in the experience. Make sure you're kind of getting to, there's going to be, usually it's mapped out where there's, certain vendors or certain people. If there's certain places you want to make sure you get to, depending on how many days you're going to be there. But another big thing I would land on is don't rush into buying cards and singles and stuff. Like don't, when you get in there, don't, the first time, if there's a certain card you're looking at, you see it right then and there, and it's your first day there, don't jump on it. Be patient, because especially if you're going to be there like up through almost the end, because as the days go on, you're probably going to end up getting a better price if that card is still sitting there, right?
That's the big if, though.
Yeah,
big if. So let me qualify that suggestion, Jeff, because I've been saying the opposite, but I think we need to qualify, and we're both kind of on the same mind path here. Is that for a common, if it's not a rare card, then sure,
Right.
if it's a high pop sort of card that you need because for whatever reason, yeah, I completely agree with you. The always throwing out there Luka Prism base, but
Right.
or a Jordan rookie or a Gretzky rookie. There's gonna be no shortage of these cards. But if it's a rare card that you really really want or dare I say need for your PC, you need to jump on it before someone else does, because it likely won't be there next, the next time you circle around. But
yeah, like a pop one or something that's very rare.
A rare serially numbered 90.
I agree.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But I agree with you. It's really important. I've been saying the opposite of that, so I need to now qualify it when I'm saying this and bring in what your side, because it's very important to that you can for the common commodity type cards. Totally. Totally, Jim.
Both of you guys are saying. I mean, there's certain cards that are buyer's market type cards, and certain cards that are seller's market cards. If it's extra rare, extra difficult, the person that has it can set their price and be patient if they want to be. But if it's a commoditized card, yeah, I agree, Jeff. Just again, on Sunday, there's going to be a lot of competition. If prices on certain cards have peaked, then we might see some Sunday deals. And so you may be exactly right for certain kinds of cards.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I want to say hello to Rich Frank. What's good with you, pal? Good to see you. Drew, I like this. Card Killer turns cards into modern works of art. It's an amazing thing, which I agree. If you haven't seen what he does, I don't know how he does it, because he turns these cards into beautiful pieces. Never seen one in hand, but definitely have seen them on my phone and on screen. Card Killer, good morning to you. Drew says, Jim, it's Christmas. That's what he calls it if we're all locked away in the Stevens Center.
Right.
He goes, is it bad if I kind of pray for that? Right? Yeah, Brody likes the idea. Logan doesn't have a home by the end of the 2 weeks. So we got to hope it doesn't happen for the sake of Logan. We got Tyler, a new call-in who joins my show, says, good morning. First time tuning in live. Bunch of legends talking cars before lunch. Great way to start off this. I agree. This is a fun way to start off your Saturday all the time. Logan says that the National gives me the happiest and saddest days of the year, all within the span of 1 week. And Logan, love you to expand a bit, if you will, on what, the saddest days. Is that because, I'm interested in that. For me, it's mostly just heaven, nirvana,
Right.
Drew says you buy it immediately, and I think he's talking about those rare cards that you
pop
really,
pop ones, and
for sure.
PC rares,
And Logan says, like the pickers say, if you've never seen it before, buy it when you see it. Yeah, that's really good advice. And I watch those American Pickers over and over again, and all those episodes, and it's true. That stuck with me too, just like it stuck with Logan. You see something you'd never really see, buy it. Someone else will if you don't, for sure. Rex asks, what hours will the National be open each day? Is it like 10 to 5, something like that?
6.
Yeah, I think they go to like 6 or 7, if I recall. It's been a couple years. I don't remember how late you could be there, but
what's the website? nsccshow.com, perhaps. I'm sure it'll be listed on the website, Rex. You can check that out for sure. So, all right, guys. Let me put back onto the screen. There we go. There's the call in.
No callers, guys. Nobody with questions or anything for us today. We want you guys to kind of lead the show here, guys. Come on, we need some participation, if you will.
We have a gold mine of wealth, a wealth of experience and knowledge with Dr. Beckett, with Jeff. So feel free to call in, raise a topic, bring a question. Love to hear from anybody. Drew says after hours events every night will keep you busy from start to finish, and that that's actually a really good topic, Drew, that we can I think we can talk about for a couple minutes here, because in the past there's always been events. Things are happening, but you have to know somebody, or you have to have a ticket to the Panini VIP party or
Southern Hobby. Yeah, Southern Hobby after or the party. Yep.
Yeah.
You got to be invite.
Private sort of events. Dr. Beckett, you're someone who's well connected. I'm sure you've got dinners happening that you've been going to. This year, though, I have a feeling that there's going to be, never mind the formal events that are going to be happening at the the parties, the dinners, the organize, but there's going to be these informal events happening in the lobbies, outside the show, where people are just going to have cards and trading. Either of you have any sort of expectation as to what people can expect that way?
As far as just the non-normal regular, I mean, I can tell you, like, and it really depends. The hobby is always broke up within, there's always so many communities within the hobby community, right? Like, you typically have people that kind of catch on or latch on, and they watch certain people, like, Jeremy, they're a part of your show, right? Everybody that watches your show, and they watch other shows too. I'm not saying that they're exclusive maybe to one person, but that's what I'm referring to when I say kind of these communities, right? We all have like certain people that'll typically always come on and watch. And even within the hobby hotline right here, like this community here, people that we see every Saturday, right, that show up. I know there's within the communities that I'm a part of, I know there's some guys that put together, they did this 2 years ago in Chicago, and they're going to do it again. They call it like the YouTube party, right? And they basically rent out a hall at one of the hotels, and it's basically anybody's invited, right? They call it the YouTube party, but anybody that kind of does content is a part of streaming hobby stuff on YouTube and etc. And I mean, it's just a bunch of people getting together, kind of like you're at the National, same thing. And that's probably what a lot of these after parties will still be like, right? Where you're ripping cards, you're doing pack wars, having a couple of drinks, socializing, getting to know some of these people a little better face to face. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I enjoyed about the hobby most. For me, when I went 2 years ago, it wasn't the cards. I mean, the cards are great, right? That's why we're here. But it's like John always touches on, it's about the people. The hobby is about the people, right? So we interact with so many people. We see so many names in these comments that we're replying to, interacting with. We might even have DM conversations or email conversations. We do trades, etc. We sell cards to each other. These are the types of things that are perfect when you get to a hobby and you actually get to shake that person's hand. You get to meet them face to face, right? Makes it more personable. That's what it's really about. And I'll touch on it again. I have the same feelings, I think, like most of you do, and like John does, is the hobby is the people, right? And how many times do you hear stories or hear from other people that had struggled through something in life, were going through something in life, and they came back to the hobby, or they really dived in deeper into the hobby, and they really let the people help them get through some tough times. You see it more often than you know. I mean, you hear stories all the time about people who, they thank the hobby. They thank the people in the hobby for for being there. And because honestly, there are some people out there, and I've had people reach out to me and thank me and just say, I feel like I actually have friends. I feel like I actually have people that I can rely on, that I can talk to, that I can go to, that maybe they didn't have before. And I mean, that's huge. That's, if you guys think about it, that's huge. I mean, there's a lot of people, we all struggle with things in life, right? We all struggle with something. And this is like one of those things. That's why we have it. That's why we do it. That's why we're into it. But it's deeper than the cards. It's the people. And I think that's one of the big things when you get to the National and you see all these people, and then you run into somebody, or somebody's looking for you, or you're messaging each other, hey, I'm here, and you get to meet them. Finally meeting them is just, it's an awesome, awesome feeling. So
preach, brother, preach. I mean, commonality, we're like-minded. We have this thing called sports cards or cardboard in common, and it's that immediate connection that we have to each other. So I'm with you. That was really well said. Drew popped in. He's no longer with us. Maybe he'll pop back in shortly.
David's asking. The link is it's rolling in the screen. It should be in the chat.
It's right there. It's right on the screen right now.
So David, just click on that link, and then you can call in, bud. You can pop on.
And so, talking about like as far as the gatherings, there's also the trade night is something that we had last year for the not the first time, that was run by or organized by Card Collector 2, Ryan Johnson, and his Kentucky card guy, I believe. They organized that. I heard Ryan say that he's hoping to announce something soon. So maybe there will be another event like that, which is open to everybody. They got over 1,000 people in a hotel conference room last year. I went to it. It was really awesome. It was a lot of fun. So hoping they do something like that. And then Drew did mention in the comment that there's no Panini party this year, or gold packs. So that's a big difference. That'll reduce some of the excitement. But I think it'll be replaced with excitement coming from other sort of sources this year. Just the fact that it's the first national in 2 years. I wanted to bring up there was a comment here from Ralph. Oh boy, we're behind here. He says forums and groups play a big role in getting together and building relationships to branch out and become involved in the community with knowledge from online, which can aid collectors to proceed. Sharing knowledge, I think, is what he's getting at there, really. Logan, when the National opens, it's the happiest day of the year for me. It's euphoric. I mean, yeah, pretty much how it goes through my head. I think the various reactions in my brain, for all of us, right? We just get even the days leading up to it. It's similar to you buy that card online and it's on its way to you and you get excited. That's the days. I remember being a kid and knowing I'm going on a vacation. Just you get so excited.
Yep.
It's a wonderful feeling. Ron says the hobby wouldn't be as fun without hangouts and chat rooms. So many great people. Right back to as you said, Jeff, to John's tagline: the hobby is the people. Yep. John, he's got shirts. He's gonna have shirts available at the National. I've already bought and paid for mine. Just looking forward to receiving it.
Yep.
David, the link, as soon as I take a link, your comment off, the link should come back. There it is. Hopefully you can plug that into your phone or your computer and come and join us.
Vince has got a great comment. Vince Atulo.
I can't wait. This one here?
Nope. A lot. No, up.
Oh, here we are.
A
little
bit. Yep.
A lot of people from all different walks of life get together, make friends with people they otherwise would. Yeah, exactly. You want to add on to that, Jeff?
I mean, again, he hits it pretty much right in the head. I mean, you guys think about this. We go through our daily lives. We go drive to stores, etc. How many times have you found out, and maybe you haven't, how many times have you found out, like through like Twitter or buying something on eBay or some type of YouTube stream or something, you find out just exactly how close somebody even is to you, maybe even lives, within a half hour, or whatever. And again, touching back on, you may look at somebody or see somebody in a store or somewhere else and I would never be able to associate with that person. Or I feel like not to be stereotypical or not to be judgmental, but just kind of how we are as humans. Like, would we really get along with this person? And he hits around the head. Like, you see so many different walks of life. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. You're into that same hobby. It's that same connection. It just kind of brings us all together. I mean, it's just a great comment. I don't really have a lot to hear off it. I think he kind of says it perfectly in the comment itself, but I saw it and it just kind of stuck out. So,
well, we've got Brad is called in. Brad, how you doing today?
What's up, man? Jeff, you were on a rant. I didn't want to say anything. You're on a roll, brother.
You're good. You're good, man. You're good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I just made it. I literally just pulled up to the East Texas Card Show, and before I walked in, I wanted to reach out and say hi to everybody. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Just wanted to reach out and say howdy.
Good morning to you. I'm sure here's Logan's comment, Brad. This national will be the national of hugs. You've all been warned. So, Brad, get ready to be bear hugged by many. I'm sure you will be. Jim, let's hear from you on something, because all this talk about being able to rub shoulders and interact with people that you normally wouldn't. You're someone that has a you're recognizable in the hobby. do you, when you're at the National, typically, do you get approached by people that just want to say hi to you, that, you know, that want to meet you, that want to shake your hand? Has that happened in the past? And are you recognized to, you know, your mag, you know, when you created the magazine, your name was recognizable, but I don't know that I actually knew what you looked like back then. So how have your experiences been that way in prior years, and do you expect a change this year?
Like a mask or a disguise?
No, not you.
No, I don't know. I'm not looking to. I'm not out to, you know, knock on, you know, meet every person there. But you know, I'm doing my own stuff. I'm bumping into, you know, people, but they're bumping into me too, and I'm happy. I'll do an occasional selfie or sign a card or something. But you know, I'm a hobbyist now, so I want to enjoy the hobby, and I love meeting other collectors, and so I've had you know, some very interesting interactions. You know, if I'm sitting around looking at cards, somebody will just pull up a chair and look at the same box, and we'll talk, and then we'll visit. You know, we'll walk around together a little bit. So it's hard to describe, Jeremy. It doesn't. There's no one size fits all. Some people want to ask me a whole bunch of questions, and I don't want to re-answer questions I'm answering in the podcast and that are, you know, basic questions. On the other hand, I want to be friendly, and I think one of the things I've figured out, and this may be true of you guys too, is that during the day at the show, I'm seeing some old friends, but I'm more there looking at cards and meeting new friends. Whereas in the evenings, I'm more going out to dinner with my old friends. Yeah. You know, I've had some listeners that say, "Hey, I want to take you out to dinner." Well, that's great, except that I don't really know you. I mean, I wouldn't mind knowing you better, but I'm not going to go out to dinner with another dude that I don't know in a strange town. I'm going to go with some of my buddies that have already got something set up that's you know, guys I've known for decades. So no partiality other than I'm going to be there during the day, and I'm going to enjoy the whole vibe.
You at the Dallas show last month, I believe, you held or organized a bit of a think tank. You used it for some content for your podcast, and I know that myself and others enjoyed listening and having being able to be a fly on the wall in those conversations you had with other content creators. Anything like that planned for the National this year?
I think one of the reasons I did that, because nobody else was doing it. I think at the National, it's too big to do one thing. So I think there'll be a whole bunch of things that are a little bit like that. So I don't want to take away the initiative of others. As you heard, you know, the event there, Brad was there. It just got big fast, in that we kind of overwhelmed the room that we were in and the acoustics, and not everybody really had a chance to chime in. So if it had been a little bit smaller, it'd have been more of a think tank. As it was a great meetup, an opportunity. I met some new people. Everybody met some new people. So I thought it was a big success. We'll probably do it again, but it's a lot easier logistically to do it here in Dallas than in the National, when you just don't know who's going to show up, or it might be too successful. You know, like you're saying, this trade night, 1,000 people there. Well, that
was 2019
kind of event.
Yeah. Couple comments here. I want to bring onto the screen here. Beat the house. I came back to the hobby after becoming legally blind due to retinitis pigmentosa. Dr. Beckett had a guest who had the same disease. Even people who are blind can be avid card collectors. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Well, Jeremy, I see Rocco Rosado, who he's talking about, is, tunes into your show every Saturday evening.
Yeah. So he has that's who he's speaking of.
That's Rocco.
Yeah. Rocco. I see Rocco every Saturday. That's really cool. Well, Beat the House. Glad to hear you're enjoying the hobby with the rest of us. I mean, that's pretty, and it's interesting because cards are a visual thing for the most part, right? So if I guess it's interesting. Now, I know that legally blind doesn't necessarily mean that you can't see anything in all cases. I know it can mean, but you have reduced vision. So it's nice that it's actually, you know, it might, I mean, this is a whole topic in and of itself, which is fine. But
Right.
if, you know, like they say, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it, right? So when you are having visual challenges, perhaps trying to focus in on those cards, an object that you really like to look at, like we all do, might help prolong or slow down the if it's a degenerative disease, might actually slow that down. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but that's an interesting, it's really nice to hear is what I'm trying to get at.
Well, Rocco has two things going for him. Number one, he's got probably almost a photographic memory. As you said, when he knew this was coming on, whether he doubled down on really memorizing the cards, but he's got amazing memory for cards that he hasn't seen in 15 or 20 years. And he's got a candidate for most valuable wife.
For
His
sure.
wife is doing all the interpretation for him. So he's enjoying it in a way that's very creative.
Yeah, that's so awesome to hear. We're talking a lot about the National. It's been a lot about our excitement for it. But Victor has a comment here that kind of takes a different spin. I think this is an interesting topic. So if you guys don't mind, let's have a read of this. He says, for the National, do you think the traditional negotiation strategies will work? And do you think prices will not be as flexible the first couple of days? So who wants to take this one with their initial thoughts?
It's the same thing you already said, and Jeff already said. There's tough cards and easy cards. Who's got the leverage? Who's got the upper hand? If it's a tough card and
they're not going to
negotiate, you can't. But I do think there's going to be an amazing amount of flexibility over the course of the show. What we've seen more and more, that prices move fast, and if something is not selling, these dealers who want to hold the line and are not going to be flexible, they could be going home Sunday with the same stuff.
Yeah.
They've got to read the room.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And those particular dealers, if you had to kind of guess the amount of, maybe I'm going to make an assumption here that people who are going to be like very stuck on their prices, especially if the prices do not reflect recent market valuations. I mean, I wonder if those are going to be dealers who have been around a really long time, maybe been to the National before, or might be sort of newer in the hobby over the past year and are, you know, maybe got caught up in that bull market we had, or, you know, the height of the market in that January, February, March time. You know, some people paid a lot for cards, and they're going to have trouble locking in a loss now if they bought those cards earlier this year. But that's going to be a small portion, I believe, of the vendors. So, Jim, to your comment, people that are going to, you know, that might go home with those cards on Sunday, in your experience, a lot of the vendors, and you've been to the show, you work the room. Are the vendors you've dealt with going to be like that? Are you expecting any of them to be that way?
No, the problem is some of the vendors there only do that one show. And so they're not as digitally savvy necessarily. They kind of know some of their cards, but they're not, they just do one show a year. So they're not tuned in to everything. And this will be the first year there'll be a situation where the comps are not such that more recent is better, because for certain cards, you're not going to want to think about the last couple of months. You're going to want to go back to February or March,
right?
For the high price, and you're going to just look at that. Whereas before, the dealer always had the advantage because he or she wanted to use the most recent comp. Now, maybe not always. And so if you're a buyer, you also have to increase your knowledge base to really know, is this a tough card or an easy card? Is this something that I can, you know, the other problem is if you go back if you on Wednesday and the guy has a card for $1,000 and you say, will you take less? He says, no. If you go back Thursday, and you say, will you take less? And he says, no. You go back Friday and you say, we'll take less. And he says, no. What you've done inadvertently is encourage him that you really want that card.
Yeah.
And so he may not ever want to discount it for you.
Good
And
strategy.
so you're pointing out that you really want that card and you're just trying to get a deal. And so on Sunday, it's probably still $1,000, and you may, whip out your wallet or your phone or your credit card.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that too, like, go ahead, Brad.
Well, what's really interesting is this show that I'm at is only a couple hours. This is a Saturday only show that's only running until I think 4 or 5 o'clock. So there's going to be a real microcosm of that, which I'm pretty excited to, because you've got that long term, and now it's really condensed. So I'm going to be really interested to see or hear or feel all of that shoved into a little bit of time window. So I'm sorry for jumping in, Jeff, but I just very interesting microcosm.
Yeah. And I just wanted to touch on kind of, and Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, but you talking about not recent comps on some of this stuff going back in like February. Are you referring more to like based on in season, out of season, depending upon sports and stuff? I mean, we see a lot of that too with some people when they're hesitant on selling a card for a certain price, or you asked to buy it at a different price. Let's talk football season, right? We're out of football season right now, like Josh Allen or somebody who's an on the rise quarterback, probably more than likely going to be playoff bound again this year, etc. Obviously, it's going to take a dip like every sport does, outside of the season. Is that what you're referring to when you say going based less off of recent comps and more back?
I'm expressly not referring to that. I don't think. In fact, I think the in season, out of season. So many people are tuned into that now.
Yeah,
I don't think that matters.
Bring it up.
Jeremy had a whole show or had a long segment about how February and early March of 2021 were the peak for certain glamour cards.
Right.
Now there's the Jordan rookies. They're at a lower level now, and that the base now is it's found a different level, different base. And so that's what I'm talking about. Cards,
okay.
But that's not a hard card, but it's a glamour card,
right.
And it just there's no longer any sure things that these cards are going to go up every month. There's some of them have peaked.
Right.
Yeah. So I might actually be a doctor, because I Beat the House says you're spot on about using it and practicing to help slow down the progression. That's so. And then 1977 cloth, born legally blind myself, thankfully only one eye, but it makes a difference. So how about here's sort of a new topic that ties into the show itself, which is it's got to be challenging deciding what cards to submit for grading. So I believe that it's going to be a lot different this year. As my understanding, PSA is only going to be doing the $300 service level at show only grading, no drop-offs for them to take back to their facility to grade, to ship back to you. That's been the service I've used pretty much every national. I save up all year. I take my cards to their booth, I drop them off, and they ship them back to me at some point in the next several months. Very, very, very nice service. I like to physically drop them off and pass them over to them. And the lineups, as if you've been there, you've seen the lineup. It fills up. It goes all the way back. The whole span of the convention center. This year, are we going to have lineups that are the same length, even though there's only one service level price, which is $300 a card? Anyone have any insight into that or predictions?
Jeremy, in our industry, everybody loves a line.
Yeah.
If they see a
Even
line,
at Target, right?
Whether it's for an autograph or for a wrapper redemption or being in line for the grading. So it draws a crowd, the fact that there is a line. If there's nobody in line, I'll be shocked. There has to be a line, because that's part of the marketing.
It's true. You can walk around the show. I've been waiting in lines, and a group of people, a family will walk by, and they'll say, "What's going on?" Everyone wants to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Why are you in line? It's almost a FOMO thing. What might
Michael Jordan signing for everybody for free?
Yeah,
right?
Go ahead and get in line.
What might they be missing out on? Okay, let's take a turn here. we as a group, the Hobby Hotline group, will be kicking off this year's version of Hobby Palooza. I'm sure we're all aware of that. I'm assuming everybody was aware of Hobby Palooza last year. It's an initiative that is organized, promoted, and run by the Bench Clear Media Group, which is Ty and Mike Moynihan, baseball collector. And Mike released a video on his channel just yesterday, basically announcing all the participants. It's a 2-day constant live stream, minus sleeping at night, basically from 10 till 10 each day, hour segments, 24 different live streams. And Hobby Hotline has, I think, the really cool honor of kicking it off with the first hour. So are you guys excited like I am for that? And did anybody watch it last year?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge, right? It's an event. It's just another event to just bring in more excitement and more stuff around the hobby. I mean, just think about this. Like if you watch YouTube or wherever you go to watch some of your content or your breakers or your auctions or whatever, your interviews, your podcasts, whatever it may be, right? Whatever is hobby related, you're now going to have basically 2 full days of just nothing but nonstop hobby if you want to tune in that whole time. And for us to be able to kick that off as a Hobby Hotline crew, if you will, I mean, that's an honor. That's awesome. I mean, John, we saw the post with him on Twitter when he was hanging out with Mike, and that man, to kick it off, that's absolutely going to be an honor. It's huge for this show, and this Hobby Palooza is just huge in general for the hobby. You guys should get excited about it. You should be excited. You guys should pop in and watch when you can. You're going to be able to find maybe some new favorites or some new, people that are doing the different segments and stuff. You're going to learn a lot too, especially if you're somebody newer into the hobby. It's going to be a lot of information that you're going to be able to gather from this. So definitely tune in. I'm excited. I think it's awesome. I watched a lot last year as well. So
you did. Yeah. Book time off work. Let your family know that you're going to be glued to your phone, your computer for 2 full days watching the show. I know that that John Sports Card Nation has an hour slot for his channel. And the thing is to understand is that while it's sort of headquartered on the Bench Clear Media YouTube channel, all the streams are on those specific channels themselves. So they will be directing you sort of where to go, is I believe how it's going to work.
Yeah.
So John will have a slot. I will have a slot for Sports Cards Live on the Saturday itself as well. So people will come to my channel, people will go to John's channel, and all the other 20-something channels to kind of, and as I tuned in a little bit last year, but I didn't watch the whole thing. But I encourage you all to do it this year. Watch the whole thing. Yeah. But the chats just light up, and everyone goes from one to the other, and it's just going to be a real great community event. And as Mike Moynihan put it, it's all about inclusivity and really just sharing the content love. And I think it's a great initiative. Topps is going to be a sponsor. There's going to be some giveaways. Mike's really excited about it, as he should be. I believe it's his brainchild. So really excited for that of 2 full days. You can kind of come and go as you need, right? You know at any given time there's going to be some hobby content going on live streams, which I think is really, really cool. And what an honor that this group gets to kick it off. Hope maybe we can make that into a tradition.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm gonna head into the show. Y'all have a good night.
Enjoy, Brad.
Hobby on.
Hobby on, Brad. So NBA playoffs are happening. Final Four. It's funny. The Atlanta Hawks have that. Trae Young. What was it? A 49-point game or something like that, and then they get blown out last night.
Yeah, he comes back to earth now, right? And now, so you went from seeing people like saying he's better than Luka Doncic and he's better than this guy and that guy, right? And he's been on an insane run. But he had 9 turnovers in 3 quarters in last night's game. I mean, at some point, right, that high that he's on and that level he was playing at and never missing shots, that step back three that he's been just doing and kind of floating. I mean, sometimes you watch him shoot and he does that like step back three and he just kind of throws it up and it's just like it just like floats and just nothing but net. And you're like, man, this kid just can't miss. When's this kid going to miss? But he finally came back to earth, and this is exciting, guys. I mean, this is exciting. You're seeing it. You're seeing movement. Like you typically do in the hobby, right? We see this come NFL playoff time, baseball playoff time. You see the players that are involved or the teams and the players that are involved in that. You see the hype for their cards just continue to rise, right? I mean, like Devin Booker came. He was basically a guy that, the beginning of the playoff run or right before the playoffs, even I think. There were some people that were almost kind of trashing him in a bit, like, because he wasn't playing that well. He wasn't having that great of games. And he just kind of, especially when Paul had to be out, he's taken over. And you're really seeing that hike and that price increase, from his play as you are a lot of these other players. So it's exciting, man. It's definitely exciting. I'm not as much into hockey. Jeremy, I know being in Canada, you got to be a big hockey guy. I know you're a hockey guy. I mean, you got the NHL playoffs going on as well, right?
Yeah, the Stanley Cup playoffs are now set. The final two teams, the Montreal Canadiens and Tampa Bay Lightning. I would say the Tampa Bay Lightning are the favorites. It's very exciting. My wife's from Montreal. She's her and her family, big, we call them the Habs, the big Habs fans. Her dad's a 40-year season ticket holder. And so, I said he better go to a game because how many chances do you have to go to a Stanley Cup Finals game? It's quite the opportunity. So very, very exciting. But let's talk about the values a little bit because you did sort of touch on it, Jeff. The hobby is so reactionary, and I don't think that's ever going to change. As sophisticated and experienced as we become by just being around the hobby more and watching trends, our human nature, we just can't resist hype. We can't resist what have you done for me lately phenomenon. And right now, the Trae Young hot, Giannis has to be hot. Are either of you guys noticing, watching the market day to day, like what's happening with Devin Booker, Trae Young, Giannis? And even there was a comment that came in from Ron Fig. He says Tatis hit 3 home runs yesterday. Did his prices double? Are either of you watching this? Can you speak to that at all?
The hobby is both reactionary and anticipatory.
Right.
And it's all mixed up. And so for everybody that says he had a bad game,
right,
I'm going to sell. There's some that say he had a bad game, I'm going to buy now. So
he's going to bounce back.
Very difficult to predict what's going to happen because every so Trae has a great game than a bad game. Well, the next game, his detractors are going to think, I'm going to get rid of him. He's on the outs now. Others are going to say, hey, he's got him right where he wants him. He's just going to dominate the Bucks, for the next 3 games or whatever it is.
Did you remember that one shot he took at the end where he jiggled his shoulder there? He kind of stepped back to the shoulder and just sunk the shot. And
like the Conor McGregor, with the shot.
Yeah. Like that's swagger right there.
Yeah, it is. And I think like Jim touches on it too. There you have those guys that are okay, well, it's a bad game, sell now. But especially right now in this time, I mean, there's still much in it. They can, it's basically a 5-game series now, right? Series is tied up for them. It's a 5-game series. It's anybody's series still. He had how many great games did he play in a row? I mean, he's played basically, I think, just about every other playoff game. He had a phenomenal game. So players are going to do that. That's going to happen. You got, the comments of Tatis hitting 3 home runs. The guy just keeps racking them out the yard. If he could just be a little bit better defensive player, man, could you imagine? I think the guy's going to end up being a DH, more than likely. They should just have him, Tatis, as like a DH hitter because his fielding hasn't been there, right? I mean, people touch on it, people talk about it, but that's not really what people look at anyway when they get excited about the cards, when the market, is rising and whatnot. They're not looking at how well they play defensively. It's all about, what are you doing offensively? Are you popping home runs? What's the batting averages like? On base percentages, things like that. Those are the things that kind of drill onto. But touching back on like the market, like Devin Booker, if you go back to like looking at just like a Devin Booker Prism, just a rookie raw, even a non-silver, like 3 months ago, you could buy them for around, I think around $130, $120. Raw right now, you're gonna be paying right around that $260, probably $270 mark. So I mean, that's just one example of, looking at where things have changed, right? And we always touch on the hobby market as basically, we talk about it. We look at it as like stocks, right? Up and down, right? People don't reach or look at that Beckett, unfortunately, as much anymore, right? They're pulling up their phones, they're going to those comps, those eBay comps, they're going, where's it at now? What did it sell yesterday? And I think, again, something that I kind of cued on today that I even picked up from Jeremy and Jim was, going back to when that peak kind of was, going back to that January, February to really look at some of that pricing. But unfortunately, I think there's so many people that are still cued and drawn on, where was it at right now? Where did it sell yesterday? Right? When we're trying to buy, when people are selling cards, etc. So, yeah.
Yeah. A couple of things come to mind there. One, you mentioned that, people don't reach for the Beckett magazine like they used to. And I think a lot of it is time. Like, we're so, as Jim said, we're so anticipatory, we're so reactionary. And the Beckett magazine, at this point, by time it gets to from print, I mean, even from print, from sending the copy to the hands, things happen. We move so quick. Back when Jim first started publishing his magazines, we need what values were. Now we know what values are before Beckett can get the magazine out there, which I think is probably why the online pricing is a more valuable tool these days. But that's right. That's society, that's technology, that's just where we're at with everything these days,
Right.
So, but it's an interesting point.
Let me give you another what if. It's apocalyptic or catastrophic. But okay, so now same deal. We're at the National. We're all locked in there, and there's an EMP. All the internet it goes out. So you're there in the show, and everybody's there, and you have no connectivity to the outside world. Okay,
oh, wow.
What would that be like? Okay, because there's such a dependency now on being able to have a really strong connection. But you get in some of these very dense environments at a stadium or something where everybody's going the internet at the same time, unless there's internet backbone, whatever it is, you can be sitting there grinding and not getting anything. So if you were at the National and you can't get any can't connect to the internet, what are you going to do? And then
hopefully somebody's got a Beckett stand there.
I'm saying that would be a possibility, or any other thing where you have top of mind. But we're very dependent on being able to connect quickly and get what we want.
We really are.
And it's not the same as knowledge. I don't know it, but I can look it up. Well, if you can't look it up and you don't know it, you're at a disadvantage. So.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and even understanding, it's one thing to know what the most recent auction comp is, but it's another thing to know the trend that led to it, because that's where you can really set yourself apart from a knowledge perspective from other buyers or sellers who are really just looking at the last couple of sales. It's nice to have a more of a broader time horizon of not only the data, but also just the gut feel of where things have been, where they have been, but where they may go. And I mean, we can't predict the future, but I think the more experience and knowledge and the more research you do into cards you want to own, are looking to purchase, looking to transact upon, you're going to be at a bit of an advantage compared to those who don't. Ron Fig says, I love reading Beckett. I've been reading Beckett since the 80s. I wish it had more articles about cards, but you can't have everything. And I got to say, I agree with that comment. Back in the 80s, even the 90s, loved reading the magazine, not looking up prices, reading the magazine. Nowadays, it's the price guide. It's a thick magazine now, and it has to be. But it's so much price guide, some product reviews, and the editorial. I think it's just kind of suffered in recent years, and that would be a great move. I think something that, as Ron says, I would love to have more editorial content in that. But does it? Maybe the question becomes, does it need it? There's so much editorial content out there in the palm of your hand on these little guys right here. Is the print magazine, Jim? How long does do the Beckett print magazines have left in their lifetime?
Well, first of all, it's just like restaurants. There's always room for another really good restaurant. Okay, if you're not adding value or some differentiation, the world doesn't need another shoe store or restaurant. But in the magazine world, there's plenty of magazines out there. So and certainly my old company is trying to make it responsive to what people want. But each thing has a cost, to be more inclusive in the pricing, to have more articles, to have more, all the things that people want. You can't give them everything they want, but I agree. I think part of our success metric back in the 80s was providing a complete magazine that people really enjoyed, that merged the sport and collecting. And I'd love to see it get back to that. And I still think there's room for that, but I'm not the decision maker anymore.
No, I mean, and you haven't been for quite some time. I see and hear people talking about, what's going on at Beckett right now, grading and the policies, the decisions, and a lot of people still think that you're involved in that. But just to set it straight, and I know you have, we don't know like we need to, but your relationship with Beckett, the company at this point in time, is it as simple as they sponsor your podcast, or are you an advisor? Are you involved at all with the operations?
I'm not involved with the operations, the day-to-day stuff. I still talk to the guys when they. I'm not the owner anymore. I don't want to cast a long shadow, but I want to be helpful. I think my brand still has my name on it. I want it to do well. But I'm kind of an unpaid advisor, and they're a sponsor of my podcast, although they have their own stuff. So I'm not dependent on them, but I want to have a relationship that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good to know. Good to know. I'm going to run through some comments here, guys. We're almost at the hour. We're literally at the hour mark right now. So we'll run through some comments, call for some final thoughts from the panel, and we'll likely wrap it up. But 77 Cloth says, know the value to you and your value in relation to the market. When your valuation is well under the market, just go to the next item on your list. When in reverse, bring out the wallet, right? That's important, really, because just because the comps say something doesn't mean that that's what it's worth to you, right? So that's where you can time the market. You can time the market in relation to what things are worth to you. And I think most people likely do that unless you really just follow the leader, unless you're really just following influencers and that kind of thing. But that's a great comment. That kind of just brings it back down to earth. I like that one.
Jeremy, there's more followers than leaders, though.
Of course.
So.
Yeah. Ron says, I have boxes of old Beckett's, and I have the newest one as well. Goes on to say, I'm old, I still like print, plus the EMP possibility Dr. Beckett mentioned, right? When all else fails, you need your hard copy of the Beckett magazine so you have an idea, you have a reference, you have something. Right on. And my buddy Eric Sanderson to Orr says, I went out and bought the January Beckett hockey only for the articles on 70s hockey cards. Would have liked to have seen a little more, but not bad. So good to hear, good to hear that they are. And I've noticed that too, that the editorial, it does, on the copies, the issues that I have looked at, they are more or less a little bit on the vintage side, and that might be totally not the case, but that's what I've seen. We got AO Rhino in the house. Good morning, AO Rhino. Trying to buy a PC card off a collector will cost you more money. 100,000%. But as a buyer, I will pay more for a PC card than I would for a card that I might just want to have in my showcase of the next card show. I will always pay more for a PC card because, number one, you're in a position of disadvantage, especially because it's hard to hide the passion. At least for me, it is. It's hard to pretend like I don't want the card when I want the card. So, right. Either of you have an experience that comes to mind, sort of when you've had to pay more because you really wanted the card?
Gosh, they just come up to me and they say, "I know you need this Clemente item," and I just think, right. I don't need it that bad.
Yeah, I mean, I
to gracefully say no.
I mean, same kind of thing here. If I'm at shows, card shows, or I'm going around and, or even somebody reaches out to me via Twitter or something. And, I'm a Minnesota guy. So it's these Kirby Pocket lots or cards. Well, I got thousands beyond thousands of them. And a lot of times I probably have most of them anyway. And it's like, they want way more than it's worth. Just sorry. I either already have the card or have the cards or whatever. But yeah. Not going to overpay for something for a PC. Not gonna do it.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I followed the Michael Jordan market pretty closely, the rare stuff, and there's been really no depression of that market since the high water point of February 2021. Those cards just they keep on going up in value because there's so many people that want to own those cards, and if you want one, I don't know that you have to overpay, but you might have to set a new record. and is that overpaying? I don't know. I think we can really say that you're not overpaying every time you set a record.
Well, they're way more. They're more beautiful than the Michael Jordan rookie, and they're way less plentiful than the Michael Jordan rookie. And even the scarcest ones, for the most part, they're PMGs being an exception, are way cheaper than a Michael Jordan rookie card that you see all the time.
Yeah. I mean, for rare quality cards, not even quality, rare, because even a PSA authentic, a non-graded, PMG Michael Jordan will still sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So is it a quality card? Sure. I mean, it still might have great, might present well, might really have great eye appeal, but it might just have that PSA authentic designation, which, let's face it, when we look at cards, we do look up to the label in a slab, and that does detract a little bit from the overall satisfaction of it, because I'm sure if it's not just like a 9 has less satisfaction than a 10 for most people. But, rare cards, you have to pay. You have to pay for rare cards of players who are widely collected and widely invested in even nowadays.
Man. Yep.
Like here, Joe Perot, my guy from Santa Cruz, says the 1948 Leaf Satchel Page, not coming back to Earth anytime soon. Now, I mean, he's probably right, because we're going overtime, guys. I think it's okay for a few minutes. If you guys are okay, as Logan Ward says right there, just as I say it, Hobby Hotline overtime, the cards, the cards of iconic, culturally relevant players, I believe if you're looking at it as investing, that's where your money is going to really be safest, I believe. So cards like this, they're likely not going to come back to Earth because they're high grade. They are rare, widely pursued. You got the PSA set registry impact at play. I just want to agree with that. Anyone have any final comments on that before we wrap up?
Well, historically, I'm supposed to be the history guy. Historically, the Leaf Satchel Page is 10 times tougher than the Leaf Jackie Robinson. But the values don't reflect that, because one is a short print and one is in the easier series. So again, the more of these comparative, if this is worth this, then this should be worth this. So you're right. The Satchel Paige is difficult to find and expensive.
Ron Fig says, show a card. I don't have any handy within arm's reach. Do either of you have a card that you can show? Maybe if you do, nice way to wrap it up today.
I mean,
Dr. Beckett's got a couple dozen behind him. I see a nice Jackie.
I'm a Minnesota guy again. This is an Anthony Edwards. This is a Panini certified Fresh Faces rookie. It is non-numbered. This was actually racked to me by a good buddy of mine in the community, Buddy Pauly. So it's a card here. I got a Harmon Killebrew. I got his rookie in his second year, but I got the second year up here right now because this is the most recent one that was racked to me. So that's a second-year Killebrew. I actually got his rookie as well. Was given to me by the same individual, my buddy Jimmy Guns. So
I know someone who likes that year. I actually did have a couple cards. I'll show them here before we wrap up. This card just came. It was in my briefcase. Just came. This is a Sidney Crosby 2008 The Cup. It's the base patch parallel, which I love these cards because it's to me it's an alternative on a base set. I don't collect base sets anymore. I did for many years, but this is a way to kind of still collect a base set, but with a more limited run out of 10 and a piece of memorabilia embedded. So really nice piece. I love those. And then this, I don't know why this is on my desk, but this is an interesting card. It's totally random for the show, but I'll show it. There we go.
Just so I can add a card to it.
1990 Bowman Tiffany Alexander McGillney, Buffalo Sabres rookie card. Don't know if anyone's too familiar with Alexander McGillney, but he was a goal scorer, a great player for his career. So I'll show that PSA 9 copy. Bowman Tiffany in hockey. The Tiffany in hockey really are under the radar at this point in time. All right. Are we good, fellas?
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right, guys. Well, thanks to the panel, Jeff and Jim. Thanks to Brad for calling in. Thanks to Drew for popping on screen, popping on for a split second. Don't forget, guys, every Saturday morning, noon, 11 a.m. Eastern, Hobby Hotline will be kicking off Hobby Palooza. July the what are the dates? The 16th, 17th, I believe, or 17th,
10th.
10th. Thank you. July the 10th. It's going to be the 10th.
Today, right?
Pardon?
2 weeks.
2 weeks today. Yeah. Hobby Palooza, 2 weeks today. I'll plug my show tonight. Actually, joining me tonight on Sports Cards Live is going to be Mike Moynihan, who is starting up Hobby Palooza. So if you want to hear more about that, join us tonight on Sports Cards Live. Joe Perot. Yeah, we are just wrapping up, Joe. It's earlier there than it is here. Okay, we're going to run through the comments and we're going to end this, guys. Ron Fig, beware the Penguins. Ron Fig, go Kings, go. We got 77 Cloth going to a show in NorCal. Thanks for getting me amped up. Awesome. Enjoy the show, Cloth. Logan Ward, thank you so much. Great to see you. Thank you, Ron Fig. Thank you, Brody the Kid. Thank you, Master Damus. And thank you, Eric Sanderson to Orr. See you tonight, sir. Everyone else, good night. You too. Hang tight one moment and tune in next week, everybody.